times I've questioned certain circumstances or things I could not understand. Many times in trials, weakness blurs my vision, and my frustration gets so out of hand. It's then I am reminded I've never been forsaken. I've never had to stand the test alone. As I look at all the victories, the Spirit rises up in me. It's through the fire my weakness is made strong. He never promised that the cross would not get heavy and the hill would not be hard to climb. He never offered victories without fighting, but he said help would always come in time. Just remember when you're standing in the valley of decision and the adversary says give in, just hold on. Our Lord will show up, and He will take you through the fire again. I know within myself that I would surely perish, but if I trust the hand of God, He'll shield the flames again. He never promised that the cross would not get heavy and the hill would not be hard to climb. He never offered victories without fighting, but he said help would always come in time. Just remember when you're standing in the valley of decision, the adversary says give in, just hold on. Our Lord will show up, and He will take you through the fire again. So just hold on. Our Lord will show up, and He will take you through the fire again.
Just hold on. Our Lord will show up, and He'll take you through the fire again. Hey, isn't that a promise that we can stand on? Isn't it? Isn't that a promise that we can really stand on and know that no matter what happens in our lives, the Lord's going to be there with us? It's not just words that I use at the end of this program when I say, go with the Lord, go with God, because He has already gone before you and prepared the way. He is your rear guard, and no matter what happens, He will always be there right by your side. It's a way of life. It's how we have to live as Christians. And you may be saying, oh, Brother Rick, I don't have that kind of faith. Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. I'm not that strong. Yeah, you are. Let me ask you a question. And I'm just going to blow through all the preliminaries this morning. Excuse me. I have a question for you. Every year when you started school, if you were like me, the first thing that you dreaded was PE class. Maybe you played football or played sports, and when school started, or towards the time for school to start, you had to start working out, preparing for the games. It hurt. I didn't like phys ed class. I'll be honest with you, I didn't. I didn't like it. I was not one who was into sports, and I wasn't really into the PE class either. And I knew that the first few weeks of school, doing push-ups and set-ups and running and all these other things, I was going to be sore. I'd be hurting. And I hated that. But I had to take that class because it was necessary to get the credits so that I could graduate from high school. My legs were strong because I'd ridden a bicycle a lot, and I walked a lot. Just about anywhere I wanted to go, I either had to ride a bicycle or walk. But my arms, on the other hand, were quite different. I've always been the 97-pound weakling when it came to my arms. So when we had to climb the rope or do pull-ups, I couldn't do it. It wasn't until years later when I was an adult that my upper body strength was such that I could bench press. But by the time the first 6 weeks of school was over and we came up on our first 6 weeks exam, we had to do our physical fitness review, PFR. By that time, I had all the soreness worked out of me. I could do all the setups. I could manage to make my way through the push-ups. And running was no big deal. I wouldn't be sore. Life's the same way. Life's experiences will either cause us to want to sit on the sidelines and not try, or life's experiences will cause us to have to work through the pain, work through the sweat and the tears, and get to that place where it doesn't hurt anymore. I've had people ask me or tell me, well, Brother Rick, you've been a minister all your life, and all of this, and you've had good jobs, and just blah 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 blah. You know what I'm fixing to say. And what they didn't know was the times when I didn't have a job and was trying to find work and couldn't find work, even though I was highly qualified in my field. Or the times I struggled financially because the paycheck wasn't enough to pay all the bills. Yeah, I pastored churches. I was on staff of churches. I was on staff of a mega church. And, I can't tell you that the salary I was being paid was commensurate with the responsibility, nor was it equal to what was being paid in the secular world for the same job position. I didn't get my college degree until I was in my 40s. Those of you that went to college right out of high school, hey, praise the Lord. I didn't have that option. I had to find a job. And over the period of time I look back now and I see that over the period of time, I can show you how the Lord used every situation in my life to make me stronger. gone through emotional upheaval. Gone through times when I didn't think anybody cared whether I lived or died. I could tell you about situations in my life that you'd think I was sitting here whining and crying. Nah. Stepped out in faith and took a church 40 years ago. And by the time I had been pastor of that church for 3 or 4 months, the church had grown from 12 in attendance to upwards of 50 in attendance. We were packing out the little building that we were in. A little converted mobile home. And within a month after that, not only was I gone as the pastor, but the original members of that church had tried to destroy my reputation as a minister, and I had lost my credentials without even having the opportunity to defend myself. Finally moved back to my hometown, raised enough money to be able to get there. I won't tell you how that happened, but that was a story within itself. Couldn't find work, had to go back on the road with a job. Marriage was in the toilet. I could tell you about the low times in life that are the lowest, and I can tell you about the high times that were the highest. I can tell you about people setting out to try to destroy me, and there's nothing I can do about it. And other people using and manipulating the circumstances and using me. I could tell you about the times when there was plenty. I could tell you about the times when there was nothing. When there weren't any groceries in the house, but the Lord provided. You see, it's all of these things that we go through, all of these experiences that make us the person that we become. And we'll either become better because we allow the Lord to move in our lives, or we'll become bitter. I can truthfully sit here and say I've not used people. I've not manipulated people. I've not tried to build a ministry on the backs of others. The greatest majority of the finances for this ministry over the last 50 years have come out of my own pocket. The equipment that we've purchased, we needed it. I bought it. Got extra jobs, worked extra jobs, did consulting work on the side to pay for it. And today I sat here not knowing what my future is. On Friday, I'll be at Vanderbilt University Hospital in Nashville, talking with surgeons about what may end up being another major surgery, possibly the removal of the rest of my esophagus and more of my stomach. Because of a spot of cancer that was found in June. That's after having gone through everything last year. I could sit here and say, oh, woe is me. Why is this happening to me? Nah. There's an old expression that I don't like it, and I don't think Carol likes it either. Suck it up, Buttercup. Life is coming at you full speed ahead. And how you deal with life is going to determine your spiritual outlook on things. You can deal with life by saying, why me? Like Chris Christopherson. Why me, Lord? What have I ever done? Or you can go, look at me, look at me, look at me. Why? Or you can just cinch up your boots, tighten up your belt, stand up a little straighter, and act like a soldier. You'll go through fiery trials in your life. You'll go through things in your life that you don't understand. You'll go through times in your life when people turn on you, when people abandon you, that you thought you could trust. When people lie to you and lie about you. And you can take the attitude, excuse my expression, well, screw all of them. I'm just going to quit all this and go on. Do something else. And toss aside whatever the Lord's done for you in all of your life. Or you can be an adult. See, that's the attitude of a teenager or a child. Or you can be an adult and stand up and say, you know what? I don't need those people in my life if that's the way they are. And walk away from them. And let the Lord deal with them. The church is probably as full of thieves as what the world is today. Why? Because we compromised on the gospel from the pulpits to the point to where people think whatever is best for them is what's right. It's called situational ethics, situational morality. The same rules don't apply to everybody. They only apply to somebody else. They only apply to someone else. And you see, for that reason, we have so much confusion and turmoil in the church that the church has had to turn to worldly psychology to try to find answers. Because how dare them acknowledge that the problem is spiritual. I don't know what you're facing today, and I don't know exactly why I'm talking this way, but it's for someone out there that's listening to this program right now. You need a preacher to look at you square eyeball to eyeball and tell you, suck it up, Buttercup. Stand up and be an adult instead of acting like a spoiled brat child. Life has come at you full speed ahead and slapped you around a little bit. Okay, so get up, dust off your knees, stand up, and start walking. Not away from the Lord, but toward Him. Or whatever direction the Lord is going, with Him. Because you see, I can get all theological. I went to Bible college. I've studied the Bible for decades. I got my seminary degree and all that stuff, master's in pastoral theology. Now, all of that doesn't amount to a hill of beans if you don't have the experience to go with it. It's just like any other career field. You can have a degree in computer science and be totally, absolutely worthless when it comes to solving a computer problem. You can have a degree in chemical engineering and not be able to get a job in it because you just don't know what you're doing. You have no experience. You see, it's the experiences that give us the knowledge and the ability to accomplish what we can accomplish. And those bad things that happen, just like the song Through the Fire. Do you realize what was going on with the Crabb family when that song was being written? You realize what they went through? What Gerald Crabb went through? Folks, let me tell you, life is not fair. Life comes at you full speed ahead, and it will run over you and it will destroy you if you will let it. Especially if you're not walking in the crosswalk. There's signs all over this town. There's one in front of the courthouse on the pedestrian walkway that says, "Stop for pedestrians in walkway." Do you think everybody obeys that sign? No. I was down next to the courthouse the other day, and the guy came blasting through there. Somebody was crossing the road, and they had to almost jump out of the way because he wasn't going to stop for that crosswalk. He had the right of way, he thought. Well, according to the law, he didn't. But in his own mind, he was more important than that person in the walk crossing the street in the pedestrian walkway. And he was more important than the law. And we've got churches filled with people that feel that same way spiritually. Then they wonder why their lives are so screwed up and why everything around them is in turmoil. Maybe it's because the Lord's trying to work it out of you. Maybe it's because you've been a couch potato all summer, and now that school has started, you're in PE and the coach is having to bust your chops to get you back in shape because you've been too lazy to do anything. And sometimes it's just because those around you choose to take the attitude that nothing applies to them. The same rules don't apply to them. And they put you in danger. Like the idiot on the job that won't follow the safety rules. Like the boss telling the guys, you don't have to use all that plywood and 2x4s to firm up the sides of that ditch. Just get down there and get that work done. And then when the caves in on the workers, and it's an emergency situation, someone's either injured or killed, they'll be the first ones. Well, they weren't following safety rules. Well, I've seen it too many times. Folks, I have said some hard things over the years from the pulpit and on this program over the last couple of years. And probably one of the hardest things I've ever said was that you have to get your own head out of your own posterior and start looking at reality rather than looking in the mirror and saying, woe is me. Or looking in the mirror and saying, oh, that's the most wonderful person in the world. When you know it's a lie. When you're walking in the will of God, you don't have to make deals with the devil. But when you're not walking in the will of God, the devil's already got you because he can blackmail you. He can coerce you. This little thing I say at the end of the program, it's not just a cutesy saying, but it's reality. Your life will be what you make of it. If you decide that you're going to take the easy trail out, the easy way out, don't be surprised when the easy way out, when the path of least resistance is a short circuit. I remember hiking through the mountains with a backpack. I got tired. We had hiked for 10 miles on the Appalachian Trail. Rested, ate, rested some more, then turned around and hiked back out because all we had on was a day pack. We didn't have what we needed to camp overnight. We had to get back to our base camp. As the day wore on, the last couple of miles of that hike were pretty rough. But when we got through and got back to the base camp, it was worth it. Because there we had our food. There we had our tents. There we had our sleeping bags and blankets. There we had our pot of coffee. There we had the Tylenol to ease the pain from the sore, aching muscles. Everything we needed was back at base camp. But getting back there was tough. Folks, I don't know how to say it any other way than what I say at the end of every program. You are going to walk through trials and tribulations in your life. You're going to face things that you don't want to face. You're going to have things happen to you and have people do things to you that you think are so unfair and so bad. But you know what? I'm going to give you some spiritual advice. Suck it up, buttercup. Pull on your boots, tie them up, cinch them up, and keep on walking. And go with God, because He has already gone before you and prepared the way. He is your rear guard. And no matter what happens, no matter what the circumstances look like, He will always be right there by your side. So quit trying to run away from Him. He has your best interest at heart. Until next time, be blessed.